係 Able 聽中華文化中心中華文化基金會嘅總裁。咁今日咧，我就代表綠源再生歡迎你哋參加呢一個歡慶新年嘅記者會。首先向大家拜一個晚年，祝大家身體健康、心想事成、一團和氣啦！在座有冇即係講幾個國語嘅朋友咧？先給大家拜一個晚年，祝你們大家羊年得意、大吉大利。今日咧，中華文化中心同埋我自己即係好榮幸參與呢個記者會。咁呢個記者會咧就係由綠源再生召開嘅。咁綠源再生咧就同社區有一個好深厚嘅合作關係。今日咧亦都係綠源再生喺華人社區一個大事嚟嘅。咁大家聽下係咩大事啦？首先咧，我希望每一位媒體嘅先進記得綠源再生嘅做3樣嘢係非常之重要嘅。咁我就唔會一次過話晒俾你聽。咁你可唔可以記得第一個重要嘅事情咧？佢哋做嘅工作咧就係 reduce， 中文即係減量用。記唔記得？第一個最重要嘅就係 reduce 減量用。咁今日呢一個記者會嘅主角咧，就係綠源再生喺三藩市 Golden Gate 嘅新嘅總經理向媒體見面啦。咁呢位總經理咧，呢個今日嘅主角咧就係陶明娜女士 ，Mina Tao 陶明娜女士。咁我同陶明娜女士咧，亦都喺市政府共事過，亦都係一個好好嘅朋友，都有十幾20年啦。所以聽到佢俾綠源再生重用，咁我心度第一個反應咧，就係呢個係綠源再生嘅福氣喎。但係再諗下咧，其實唔係喎，係成個三藩市嘅福氣喎。咁我再諗深下咧，真係不淨係成個三藩市嘅福氣，係全個地球，係全個世界嘅福氣。因為有咗佢喺綠源再生嘅團隊任命呢個重要嘅職位咧，就會俾我哋下一代帶來更美好嘅成績。咁今日呢一個媒體招待會其實就係好簡單嘅程序嘅啫。我哋有3位主講嘅嘉賓，第一位咧就係綠源再生嘅董事局嘅主席，第二位咧就係綠源再生嘅總裁，咁最後咧就係我哋嘅主角陶明娜出場啦。咁我而家咧就簡單咁介紹下綠源再生董事局嘅主席伍宗德先生 Dennis Wu。咁大家咧喺三藩市對 Dennis Wu 咧都應該好熟悉㗎啦。Dennis Wu 喺社區服務咗40年，佢係三藩市5大公司嘅創辦人之一。佢除咗係綠源再生董事局嘅主席之外咧，佢亦都係三藩市市立大學 City College 嘅基金會，佢亦都係加州 UC Berkeley 大學嘅基金會嘅董事，佢亦都係三藩市亞洲博物館白人會，即係佢參與同埋服務嘅團體係一言難盡嘅。咁今日咧，我哋好高興伍宗德先生親自嚟到同大家相見，親自同大家拜年，仲係親自介紹綠源再生嘅總裁。所以我而家咧就歡迎嚟到港台 Dennis Wu 伍宗德先生。
So unlike Mabel, I'm going to have to do this in English. Thank you, Mabel. It's always my pleasure to talk about Recology. With over 20% of the population in San Francisco being Chinese, we created a Chinese brand several years ago to really better reach our community. Our Cantonese name, Luk Yun Shoisan, has a very special ring to it. As Mabel has mentioned, we green resources, regeneration. it really describes Recology so very, very well. Recology has been serving San Francisco, the people of San Francisco, for over 95 years, this last 95 years. And taking away what people need to get rid of. And thus protecting our environment and our health. We are today acknowledged as the most environmentally and technologically advanced U.S. company in this area. We send less than 20% of what is discarded into landfills. You'll find that in most of America, a lot of stuff still goes into the landfill, unfortunately. San Francisco is a leader in reducing, reusing, recycling, and composting. You're going to hear a lot more about that. Composting, or as we often say, returning to the earth that which we've taken out. Recology was started almost 100 years ago in San Francisco by a group of Italian immigrants. Today, we're still headquartered in San Francisco. We're almost a $1 billion company, which I think is a surprise to most people. And we serve not only San Francisco today, but the peninsula, many parts of Oregon, Washington, and Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. And just last week, we completed acquisition of one of the major composting facilities in Southern California. We're also an extremely unique company. And I think this would be a surprise to most of you. We're 100% owned by our employees. In order to be an owner of Recology, you have to be an employee. So I just want to repeat that. The employees of Recology own the company. And I hope that the message will get out and that more of our Chinese community will join Recology so that they too will become owners. Now, reflective of our community, we're governed by a 7-member board of directors. And in this regard, we're also very, very unique. As Mabel mentioned, I'm chairman of the board. I'm an immigrant of Chinese ancestry, heritage, born in the Philippines. I arrived here when I was 16 years old. Also on the board is Sylvia Kwan, an architect. And she's an immigrant from Hong Kong. So out of 7 members of our board, 2 of us are Chinese, with Chinese heritage. Also on our board is a Latina lesbian who is an expert in recycling and reusing what others don't want. And she spent many years as the CEO of Goodwill. So you can see the direction that we're headed towards. We're really towards reusing things, recycling things. We have an African-American financial expert on our board and a Jewish gay insurance specialist. So I don't think that you'll find any other company in San Francisco that is so broadly representative of our community. Now, not to walk away too far from our past, as I mentioned, we were founded by Italian immigrants. And so we have to be respectful for Italians. So connecting and respecting our past, our president and CEO, and really the visionary behind what Recology is today, is Mike Sangiacomo. Mike started with the company as a teenager, helping his dad work in Chinatown. So he's back to his roots around this area. So it's now my pleasure to introduce to you Mike Sangiacomo.
Yes, Dennis, I picked up garbage just a couple of blocks from here many years ago. Dennis, thank you. As Dennis mentioned, my name is Mike Sangiacomo. I've been adopted by the Chinese community. They have given me the Chinese name in Cantonese of Sing Zi Go, and if I can do it in Mandarin, Sheng Zi Gao. Dennis mentioned, we have been 100% employee-owned since 1987. That means that the company is owned by all of the people who do the work of helping this great city lead the world in waste reduction. Everyone from our managers, our drivers, sorters, office staff, are all share in the ownership of our company. Our goals are accomplished by providing easy-to-use recycling programs, world-class recycling facilities, and public education and outreach. The highlight of our outreach program is our world-renowned Artist-in-Residence program, where artists invited to create works of art from material others have thrown out, a couple of pieces of art there. Our staff loves to call this Daisy our dragon, made entirely from recycled materials, all of which were recovered in San Francisco waste stream. They call her Daisy. I like to call her Lapsakwe. Minna's going to tell you a little bit more about one of our current artists, a young lady named Ma Lee, who is currently involved in our program. Dennis also stated that we embrace our diversity. Our people reflect the communities we serve. How else can you be effective in a diverse community other than becoming a part of it and welcoming all parts of it to participate with us to the fullest? That's why I'm so proud to introduce Minna Tao, Recology's first Asian female general manager and first Asian female general manager of Recology Golden Gate, the company that has provided waste and recycling services to Chinatown and many other parts of San Francisco for 95 years. And Minna had earlier careers in government and banking, but she's found her true calling as the leader of a waste and recycling company serving our community. So I'm proud to present to you Minna Tao.
各位你好 ，Thank you， 成字高 ，I really like the tone of it。好多謝你哋今日嚟聽我嘅招待會。我想為大家下一代嘅有個 calling， 就係邀請所有華人同埋華人社區同我哋一齊合作，做一個更好、更美麗嘅世界。 for 我哋。So I am delighted to be here. I am so proud to be the first 中國人 the first 中國女士為 Recology Golden Gate 嘅總經理 serving half of San Francisco and most importantly, Chinatown. I love San Francisco. Having worked here most of my entire adult life, I have been very active in the community and I have been able to serve on many numerous nonprofit boards. I feel fortunate that I'm able to give back. I care deeply about the people and the environment. And my personal values align completely with that of 綠源再生，為明天廢重其用。That's why I'm so excited and so pleased to be here in my role working for a company that aligns with my personal value. 你哋識我嗰啲咧都知道我喺香港出世，喺香港長大。香港 is a cement city. We all know that the sky is gray, and when we have to drink the water, we have to boil it first. And when we stay there for too long, our lungs get not so good. I don't remember we do any recycling in Hong Kong. The only thing that I remember when I was young is 我哋去士多買嗰啲汽水，七喜啊、可口可樂啊，可以攞翻去士多攞個斗拎翻嚟，記唔記得啊？你哋攞翻斗拎翻嚟。But those merchants take those bottles and wash it and reuse it. That's the extent I remember. So I came here as an adult. And when I had my daughter, and my daughter was born, it changed how I see the world. Suddenly, I wanted to leave behind a better world for her, for her children, and for the next generation. I want them to look up to the sky, there's blue sky. I want them to have abundance of materials, food, clean water. I want them to have fresh air that they can breathe. So I really become very interested in recycling. What can I do? I learned about recycling. I bought myself a car that has high mileage, and I started to reducing what I buy, reusing what I can, and recycling everything as much as possible. One of the things that my friend would tell me, 你咁孤寒㗎 because I reuse and I reduce, I start not buying things. And one of the typical example was, you know, everybody of my friends from Hong Kong and Asia all have an iPhone 6. Everyone, whether they need it or not. Me, I still use an iPhone 5. And I can bet you, because our value is so aligned, that Mike St. Giacomo here and Mark Osno, my boss, still use an iPhone 5. Yeah? It's not that we can't, but we won't, because it's still good enough, we can still use it. Everybody here should be so proud, because we live in San Francisco. And do you know San Francisco is the #1 city in the world in terms of recycling and composting? We constantly have visitors coming to us to visit. We have the vice mayor come in, we have the mayor from Rome come in to visit, to want to learn how can we divert 80% of all the material that we collect, reuse it, find better and highest use, and not send it to the landfill. So everybody comes here. So I think that we should really be commended for being a San Franciscan, for having this wonderful program and diverting 80% of the material that we collect. Since we have started this program, I want to talk specifically about the composting program that we have. You know, the green bin, where we put the 食物啊, food waste 擺喺裏邊嗰度, green bin, we have collected over 1.3 million tons of material on those green bins. And those green bins doesn't go to the landfill anymore. It actually, the smelly things that you see, is able to turn into beautiful, wonderful smelling, rich, nutrient-rich compost. And the farmers and the vineyards loves our compost. They use the compost, they put the nutrient back to the soil, it grows beautiful fruit, grapes, and turn it into beautiful wine, and we end up consuming it here, locally. So in my mind, that is truly a full cycle type of program. It's truly sustainable. You know, we can feel good about leaving that world behind for our future generation. One of the things, because of this program, and if everybody in the United States, like what New York is doing, copying us about composting, introducing composting program, if everybody does it, just in the United States, not even the whole world, is equivalent to removing 780萬部車 from the road, 7.8 million cars off the street. Now that is ensuring our next generation have cleaner air to breathe. 我係中國華僑，immigrant 移民嚟嘅，我都係同聲同氣。So I care deeply about the Chinese community. I have been involved with the community for many years. Working for Mabel, I'm currently the co-chair of the Chinese Cultural Center Foundation, and I've been on the board since 2010. We do a lot of amazing things here under the leadership of Mabel. We revamp the Dynasty to Democracy Walk. And every year, 4,000 kids come through the program and hundreds of adults to come in and learn about the history of Chinatown. And if they want to go deeper, to want to learn about their roots, where they're from, what village they came from, they can come to the Himalaya Learning Center. And in addition, we have this beautiful space here, exhibit. We have a great artistic director that helps with Chinese artists, new young Chinese artists, or artists that makes Chinese art and give them the exposure that we see here. As a Chinese first Chinese and the first woman to be the general manager of Recology Golden Gate. One of my goals is to work with the Chinese community to cut through the language barrier that we have. I want to hire more Chinese customer service representatives, and we want to hire more sales and outreach staff to educate the Chinese community in terms of recycling, composting, and more importantly, why. We've done many programs. We've worked with new Chinese newcomers, CCDC program like that, and we want to really work together to keep Chinatown clean and leave the world a better place for our children and future generations. 所以我想為我哋下一代邀請所有華人市區、華人社區，同我哋一齊創造一個更美好嘅世界 for our next generation. Thank you very much. 多謝你哋嘅 attention. So I'm happy to take questions.
我而家就幫手阿 Minna 睇下在座嘅媒體有啲咩問題。咁正話我提到啦 ，Recology 佢哋有3大目的係咪啊？咁個個人都講咗咯喎。咁第一個係乜嘢啊 ？Reduce 減少用。第二個咧 ，reuse 再用。第三個咧 ，recycle。哇，個個都好嘢喎。聽日係咪我可以打開報紙大標題，你哋會寫得好清楚啊？太好啦！咁樣第一個問題 ，first question， 有冇人想問阿 Minna 呢條環保龍係點樣發生嘅？有冇啊？咁阿 Minna 係咪都答咗佢啊？
環保龍咧 is a part of the Artist in Residence program, and it was I think Mike probably. You want to tell a little more about the history of 環保龍, how we created it about 13 years ago?
We participated in the Chinese New Year's activities for years. We thought we should have our own dragon, but she should be made. What is it? He or she?
It's a she. Yes, 環保龍.
It should be made from recycled material.
Yes.
And so all this material was salvaged, and some of our artists put it together for us.
我好中意咧喺呢個拖鞋，呢個中國人嘅拖鞋嚟㗎，係當係牙喎，所有樣嘢咧。
And they were cleaned before they were put.
So they all used by the recycled material, right?
Yes, everything.
Okay, can you tell what kind of material it is? Besides the, I see that some kind of unused.
So some pretty fancy fabrics,
ties.
neckties, slippers.
It's like some Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Trimmings. Tinsel, that's right. I have a question, Minna.
Yes.
So when the mayor, vice mayor from Rome came out and asked, "How are you guys doing this?" What did you tell them? What makes it work in San Francisco?
I think what makes it work is our partnership with the San Francisco City and County of San Francisco, and their desire to work with and their company with Recology, and it's the same thing. Our value aligned. We wanted to continue to reduce and have the program to work with the community to have the green bin, the blue bin. So for people that don't understand, the green bin is for all the green material, the food waste, the trimmings, and then we have the blue material, which is the recycled material that we can find better and highest use. And then the black is something that is best not to use. So that is the material that goes to landfill. So we take them on the tour, we introduce them to our Artist in Residence program, and we wanted to continue to have more and more of the program that we have here and been so successful and be introduced to the rest of the world.
Minna, I think the other thing that's happened is that it's so into the DNA of our citizens.
Yes.
That people actually have withdrawals when they go to other cities, and they do not recycle, they do not compost.
Yes, that is so true.
I have a question. What do you think of what is the challenge that turning the waste to resource?
Yes. Actually, one of the challenge that I see when I think about it is I wanted to look at it for more long term, the challenge that we face. I see San Francisco being very unique. And we also continue to see San Francisco a dynamic city, beautiful. And you see the growth that we see in San Francisco, all those cranes that we have. So San Francisco is a place that everyone is going to come visit. So I see people coming here to work, I see people coming here to stay, and I see people coming here to play. So with that said, how do we get to the diversion that we need is about education. So how do we keep up continuously with educating, doing outreach to people, making sure that when they come here, they not only know where to put the material, because most likely where they come from, they came from a place from all over the world, and they probably have just one bin to put all the material in. So one of my challenges I see is really to do further outreach, to do communications. And in terms of continue to finding the next and best highest use for some new material, we continue to work on that. Mike, do you want to add anything on the diversion or finding new ways of the things that we throw away?
Well, the materials that people separate properly and put into the blue bin, the green bin, we know what to do with that. We still have a lot of material in our black bin, and that stuff, most of that stuff, could be reused if it was properly segregated. So we're working on trying to educate people to recycle more of that material. If you live on my block, you're in a pilot program now where your black bin has shrunk to 10 gallons. And you know what? Most people are making it work. But there are ways still to separate that what's left in there and find uses for it. We're looking for things we can do with waste plastics, which we haven't yet had. And you know, we have Dr. Jesse Chu on staff he spent 25 years making plastics, and now he said, Jesse, figure out what to do with all that stuff now that we get it. Put it back to some use. And we've had some successes with doing that. And there's still organic matter in the black bin that we're figuring out how to get out. And we're going to do some things with that, like digest it and do energy recovery off of it, and then do compost the residual of that. So plenty more to do, but it's doable.
仲有冇問題啊？
我包括 education 啦，而家我都知道 save 呢個 earth 好重要啦。
係啊。
咁我亦都知道你哋內中都會喺啲報紙講啲廣告啊，去 educate 啲人點去即係分嗰啲垃圾啊。咁我想問下啦，未來咧呢個中國嘅 community 呢個 Chinese community is more education, right? So are you planning to do some like event marketing the Chinese people, or and then to educate them? So what kind of event are you going to plan, or maybe you would like to join?
Yeah.
You know, create in the future.
Yeah, I think there's two parts to answer to that. One is, you know, Recology as a company has made significant investment to the Chinese community. We've done a lot of specific outreach. We have a Chinese name, 綠源再生，為明天廢盡其用, and we don't do that for other communities. Second, you know, we've hired I brought two of my Chinese-speaking outreach zero waste specialists here, both speak Chinese, and Cantonese and Mandarin, to do further outreach. And we also partner with newcomers to help them keep Chinatown clean, as well as CCD, to see how we can make their environment more sustainable. So we're going to continue to do these outreach. In terms of board, you know, if I have unlimited resources and Recology has limited, we will be all over everywhere. Because I think everyone has a good mission, a good cause that is to be respected and appreciated. But given what we have now, I think we're going to continue to focus on the relationship that we have, and we'll evaluate new relationship as it comes through to see if we can do something with it. So we don't have any specific event planned at this moment. We just finished our Chinatown parade. So let me back up and tell you a little bit about what we actually did during the Chinatown time. You know, Chinatown Parade is a huge deal for Chinatown. And leading up to the Chinatown Parade, we've had numerous merchant walk, closure of the street, all the way leading, every single weekend we have events leading up to the Chinatown Parade. So we work with the merchants, we work with association, we work with DPW to help us. So we have to reschedule our pickup, you know, sometimes earlier, sometimes later. And when the street is closed, our garbage truck cannot go in and pick up garbage. So what we do is we dispatch rovers, and we have actual garbage men walk to every single city can trash bin and remove those manually and clear it away. So we do that multiple times a day, not once, multiple times a day, to make sure Chinatown is clean. So when we have people visiting Chinatown, they have a good impression.
So, 答多一個問題啊，仲有冇最後一個問題？
So, do you think people, their environmental awareness improved in recent years? Do you think so?
I think it's awareness. I think they have. I think through awareness, people do want to do the right thing, want to leave the world a better place for the children. I think they all have. I agree. I think so.
What do you think the awareness is within the Chinese or other multicultural communities in the San Francisco Bay Area?
What is the same?
What do you think is the so? How many do you think the Chinese community really knows the message that you guys are presenting, or do you think that there is that strong problem?
I think there is problem because Chinatown has a lot of immigrants. No different than new people coming to San Francisco. It's more about education, awareness, one-on-one touch. You know, the more people that come from outside of San Francisco, outside the Bay Area, that is not familiar with our 3-bin and how we sort the material, and they come from one bin, you know, one black bin and put everything in there, that is a continuous effort. So I think that we have more and more people educated, and more people buy in and committed to leaving the world a better place for our children.